Hey guys, welcome back to Gatsu Gaming. Today we're talking about Beast Mastery Hunter. Beast Mastery Hunter is probably one of the easier specs to play in the game right now, but it also isn't lacking when it comes to talent choices and just overall playstyle you can actually customize just through your talents. So just taking a quick look at our talents here. Level 15 row here, we have Killer Instinct. Kill Command deals 50% increased damage against enemies below 35% health, essentially giving you an execute. Definitely super useful. Kill Command is, your biggest damage dealer as a BM hunter most of the time on single target. So this one can be very powerful if you're going to have either a prolonged execute phase, or if you don't have anyone in your group with an execute. The middle one here is Animal Companion. This is new. This gives your call pet an additional pet from your stable. This pet will obey your kill command, but they won't use any of their pet family abilities. So what this does is essentially gives you Hottie without all the cool stuff that Hottie had. It is notable, of course, that it does also get you extra kill command damage, so pretty cool if you have some Azeroth traits that maybe increase the damage of your kill command, things like that. So pretty useful. And lastly here we have Dire Beast. This is a 25 focus, 40 yard range, 20-second cooldown. Summons a powerful wild beast to attack the target and roars, increasing your haste by 10% for 8 seconds. Dire Beast is now literally just a 10% haste buff with a little bit of extra damage tacked on from that beast that you summon. For those of you wondering why Dire Beast is a talent, it's because we've actually swapped over to... Originally it was Dire Frenzy, which was the talent back in Legion. That's now baseline, but it's been changed over to be something different again. But it's functionally the same with some damage added to it. The level 30 row here, we have Son of Blood, Barb Shot, which is our replacement for Dire Frenzy baseline. Generates an additional 8 focus over its duration. Son of Blood is pretty useful in general. If you're having any kind of focus issues, anything like that, Son of Blood will be super helpful. I prefer one with the pack. Wild Call is a 20% increased chance to reset the cooldown of Barb Shot. When in doubt, more Barb Shot. It's pretty useful. Lastly here we have Chimera Shot. This is a 12-second cooldown. This has not changed much at all from live. It still deals, a pretty decent amount of damage. The problem with Chimera Shot is that it will generate you 20 focus every 12 seconds as long as you have 2 targets. But honestly, the damage really isn't all that impressive for a talent. Typically, my damage has been significantly higher while utilizing Scent of Blood or one with the pack. So we'll have to see maybe if there's a tuning change for Chimera Shot, or if there's some later changes to Azeroth traits that maybe empower this to make it a little bit stronger. Level 45 row here, this is our movement / self-healing. We have Trailblazer. Your movement speed is increased by 30% anytime you have not attacked for 3 seconds. Just gives you an extra boost of movement speed when you're out of combat. Great for leveling. Natural Mending. Every 30 focus you spend reduces the remaining cooldown. Reduces the remaining cooldown on Exhilaration by 1 second. This is great whenever there's going to be, consistent AoE damage, things like that, and you're going to need to pop your Exhilaration. Most of the time, this will be a talent you take during raid just to help out your healers. Camouflage, this here gives you essentially a stealth for 1 minute. While Camouflage, you actually heal 2% of your max health every 1 second. This is great for sneaking around. This is really good for soloing too, because you can use it to just get away from things if you need to. Level 60 row here, we have Venomous Bite. Cobra Shot reduces the cooldown of Bestial Wrath by 1 second. Super useful talent. Thrill of the Hunt. Barb Shot increases your critical strike chance by 3% for 8 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. With one with the pack and, the resets that you're going to get from Wild Call, you can keep up Thrill of the Hunt pretty much the entire duration of a boss fight once you've, of course, gotten up to that 3 stacks. Very powerful early on just because of the initial stat boost you're going to get. So expect to be playing Thrill of the Hunt early on just to make up for the loss of stats from getting up to 120 and being pretty fresh on the character. Murder of Crows is honestly in a very awkward spot right now. While this does do quite a bit of damage, Thrill of the Hunt and Venomous Bite seem to be outperforming it, and just to reiterate, Murder of Crows does an insanely large amount of damage. But because of the Thrill of the Hunt buff getting you that extra crit, Murder of Crows has fallen back a little bit. It looks like there's definitely going to be some tuning changes coming up, so Murder may be a little bit better. And anytime you're going to be able to use this reliably, you know, more often than once every 15 seconds, which is the duration, it may actually then get quite far ahead of the other two. But it's kind of a niche spell at the moment. 75 row here, we have Born to be Wild, reduces the cooldowns of your Aspect of the Cheetah and Aspect of the Turtle by 20%. Great for survivability. Post Haste, disengage also frees you from all movement impairing effects and increases your movement speed by 50% for 4 seconds. This is great while you're soloing, you know, get you out of anything that's possibly, you know, going to root you in place, or, you know, just using it just to disengage back and, you know, jump around, move super quick. Also really useful in a lot of dungeons, as there's tons of snares and root effects that you can get out of with this. And Binding Shot, of course, if you don't have an AoE stun in your group, Binding Shot will definitely cover you. Super useful when you're kiting, because you can stun pretty much everything that passes through it, and it actually has a pretty decent duration when it sits there. Binding Shot is super useful in Mythic Plus for sure. Level 90 row here, we have Stomp. When you cast Barb Shot, your pet stomps on the ground and deals physical damage to all nearby enemies. Stomp used to be further up in the tree, it's now down here, which is fine. This is just a little bit of AoE damage tacked onto your Barb Shot, which if you're running one with the pack, you will be doing quite a bit more often, so it also synergizes very well with Thrill of the Hunt. Barrage is, of course, that wonderful magical ability that will pull absolutely everything in sight, and some things you didn't even know you could hit. Use Barrage with extreme care, as it is very possible you will ruin your group's day by pulling far too many mobs. I've definitely never done that ever. Nope, not once. Lastly, we have Stampede. This is a big CD. Summon a herd of stampeding animals from the wilds around you that deal damage to your enemies for 12 seconds. This is a great massive cooldown when you need it. I'm not sure about the tuning on it at the moment, because every time I've used it, the damage has been very inconsistent. So I'm not sure if they have been playing with this in the background and I haven't noticed or what, but Stampede, of course, could be very great on, of course, you know, big, massive AoE pulls when you just want to, you know, destroy everything you're looking at, or even potentially on single target, depending on the tuning. Level 100 row here, we have Aspect of the Beast, increases the damage of your pet's abilities by 30%, increases the effectiveness of your pet's Predator's Thirst, Endurance, Training, and Pathfinding passives by 50%. Aspect of the Beast, I believe, is actually the weakest of the talents right now, from what I have seen from other hunters I've talked to. But of course it is completely passive, there's nothing special you have to do with it, and your pet just does more damage. Since I'm stacked very heavily on Mastery from playing Dire Frenzy on live, I felt this would be the best option for me, and it has definitely not proven me wrong yet. It does quite a bit of damage, but you do have to be pretty heavy on Mastery to get your pet a bunch of extra damage with it. Killer Cobra remains the same. While Bestial Wrath is active, Cobra Shot resets the cooldown on kill commands, basically allowing you to go and just spam that kill command as often as you want. This pairs incredibly well with Killer Instinct, especially during that execute phase, and will just carry so much damage, especially even during your opener. It just does a ton of extra damage. It essentially gives you an extra burst window, which is pretty awesome. Now lastly, we have Spitting Cobra. I have seen a couple of people take this talent here, but I know they've been very unimpressed with the damage it outputs. It summons a Spitting Cobra for 20 seconds and attacks your target for about 600 or so nature damage every 2 seconds. This character, I believe, is 112. And while the Cobra is active, you gain 2 focus every 2 seconds. Focus has not been an issue for me at all while leveling. At max level, this may be a little bit more enticing, as you probably will need to get some more haste to up your focus regen. But while leveling, this has not been all that great for me. I would expect Spitting Cobra to hopefully be a little bit better at max level. So taking a look at our spell book here, so we have Aspect of the Cheetah still. It still does the 90% movement speed for 3 seconds, and then by 30% for another 9 after that. Super useful when you gotta run around or get somewhere quick. Aspect of the Turtle deflects all attacks and reduces all damage you take by 30% for 8 seconds, but you cannot attack. I believe this is down significantly in the damage that you reduce from live. I believe live right now is like 70 or 80% damage reduction. So please note that Aspect of the Turtle is not as strong as it once was. It is still very powerful though. Aspect of the Wild grants you and your pet 5 focus per second and 10% increased crit chance for 20 seconds. Aspect of the Wild is our big DPS cooldown. This is also our longest DPS cooldown unless you spec into Stampede. Aspect of the Wild is unfortunately no longer modified by your artifact, which of course would increase its duration and reduce its cooldown. So this is now something you really need to pick and choose where you're going to use it. Barb Shot, again, is our replacement for Dire Beast's original spot in our rotation, back from Legion. It originally became Dire Frenzy, then they swapped it over to Barb Shot through one of the builds, so now we have Barb Shot, which is a 9.7 second recharge. It is affected by haste. Fires a shot that tears through your enemy, causing them to bleed for damage over 8 seconds. Also puts your pet into a frenzy, increasing attack speed by 30% for 8 seconds, and that does stack up to 3 times. Now with Barb Shot, whenever you use that, if you're running through all the hunt, you will get that extra crit. Extra crit means more procs of Wild Call, more Wild Call procs equals more Barb Shots. Interesting thing about Barb Shot is that it only has an 8-second duration on the target, so refreshing it early isn't actually that great of an idea. It does generate focus over 8 seconds, which is awesome. But if you can spread it around to multiple targets in a pool, it's definitely more optimal, as you'll get more damage out of it most likely. So do keep that in mind when you're AoEing with Barb Shot around. Bestial Wrath is a 1.5 minute cooldown. It sends you and your pet into a rage, increasing all damage you both deal by 25% for 15 seconds. That amount of damage is absolutely huge. Bestial Wrath's remaining cooldown is reduced by 12 seconds each time you use Barb Shot. So again, with Barb Shot and Thrill of the Hunt and, you know, the Wild Call from all of that, those talents there, you're going to have a lot more uptime on Bestial Wrath than you think. Bestial Wrath is definitely something you want to be using pretty much on cooldown, maybe only delaying it a second or two to make sure you have all your abilities up. Bestial Wrath in general is just crazy, crazy damage. Be sure you hit this as often as possible. Call Pet just picks up our pet from the stable. Nothing special there. Cobra Shot is our primary focus dump. It just does a little bit of damage. It also reduces the cooldown of Kill Command by 1 second, which is pretty neat. Definitely have to watch your focus use of it, as it is 35, and you will run through your focus quite quickly if you spam this. Concussive Shot just dazes the target for 50% of their movement speed for 6 seconds. Great when you need to kite a mob, or whenever you're trying to not let that elite get to you because your pet accidentally died because you pulled too much. Counter Shot is a 24-second interrupt. Nothing too special there. Dire Beast is a talent, so we can skip over that. Disengage is our primary escape mechanism. We leap backwards. It clears all movement impairing effects because of the talent I chose and increases my movement speed. If you have not selected post haste, this tooltip actually just says leap backwards. That's all it says. It's kind of funny. Eagle Eye is not something you actually ever want to use in combat. This just changes your viewpoint to the targeted location for 1 minute. It's only usable outdoors. You can use it to peek around corners and things like that outside. Kind of useful if you're just trying to figure out where maybe a cave entrance is. Haven't used it too much myself because it's very rare I want to, but it is there in case you enjoy, looking around at stuff and taking nifty screenshots. Exhilaration heals you for 30% and your pet for 100% of your maximum health. Exhilaration, of course, is our only self-healing we have. Feign Death will, let you go ahead and pretend you're dead, and hopefully it'll trick mobs into ignoring you, so you can, survive that wipe that may have happened. 30-second cooldown, it lasts 6 minutes while you're down on the ground. Flare will reveal all hidden and invisible enemies within the targeted area for 20 seconds. There's quite a few dungeons that do have stealth mobs in them, so Flare, if you have any idea where they are, or where they might be, Flare can be great for picking up those random sneaky trolls. Freezing Trap is our 1 CC we get. Hurls a frost trap at the target location and incapacitates the first enemy that approaches it for 1 minute. Damage will break the effect. Limit 1, the trap will stick around for a full minute. Intimidation is now baseline. This commands your pet to intimidate the target and stun them for 5 seconds. A 5-second stun on a 1 minute cooldown is pretty powerful right now. So definitely make sure this is on an easy to reach keybind, and you can use it essentially as an extra interrupt if you need to on certain mobs. Kill Command is probably the highest priority ability we have. Give the command to kill, causing your pet to savagely deal 3,200 physical damage to the enemy. Kill Command is your hardest hitting ability. You can reduce the cooldown with Cobra Shot, and if you're stacking Mastery, your pet's damage is through the roof. Again, Kill Command is your highest priority ability, period, as a Beast Mastery Hunter. Master's Call, this is a command pet ability. This pet I'm using right now is a Cunning pet. Your pet removes all root and movement impairing effects from itself and a friendly target and grants immunity to all such effects for 4 seconds. I run this for myself most of the time in dungeons just because the damage difference between the 3 pet types is pretty negligible, and by that I mean there is no difference at all. And I just like having Master's Call. It's fun to not get snared or to be able to help somebody out. Misdirection is something you're going to be using a ton. Misdirects all threat you cause to the targeted party or raid member for the next 8 seconds. Incredibly powerful and something that you're going to be using, again, constantly with the threat changes. Multi-Shot is our AoE. It triggers Beast Cleave. We'll get to Beast Cleave in just a moment here. It does a moderate amount of physical damage as Multi-Shot, and then your pet will do the rest. Under Pet Utility here, you have all your pet-centric abilities, whether it be Beast Lore, so you can see something about the pet, dismissing the pet, feeding it, mending the pet, or taming another beast. Nothing too special there. Actually incredibly easy to, understand. Tar Trap is an AoE snare, 50% reduced movement speed while in that for your enemies. Great trap to help with kiting. Pairs very, very well with Binding Shot if you take that ability. Beast Cleave is the passive. After you multi-shot, your pet's melee attacks also strike all other nearby enemy targets for 75% as much for the next 4 seconds. Beast Cleave is the bulk of our AoE damage, and of course that is all from your pet, so it will of course scale up with Mastery. Beast Cleave is what makes a BM Hunter incredibly powerful. Can't get over how easy it is to maintain Beast Cleave as well. You'll definitely want some weak auras to track it, so you can see when it's about to fall off, so you can multi-shot again. But incredibly powerful ability. Exotic Beasts, you can tame exotic beasts. Nothing too special there. It's just, you can have a dinosaur if you want, which is great. There's a lot of really cool pets in BFA, specifically the water hippos, which I have not gotten a chance to get on this character yet. But I absolutely love the hippos. They're really cool and they're huge. Kindred Spirits increases your maximum focus and your pet's maximum focus by 20. It just puts you up at 120 focus, which is the new baseline. So our Mastery, of course, just increases pet damage. I have about 77% Mastery right now. That is a ton of extra Mastery and a ton of extra damage on your pet. Probably one of the most important stats for Beast Mastery is, of course, the Mastery stat. You're going to want to stack a lot of it, trust me. And then Wild Call, your auto-shot critical strikes have a 40% chance to reset the cooldown of Barbed Shot. So Crit and Mastery are probably your 2 most important stats overall. And with Wild Call, you can end up maintaining a ton of Barbed Shot stacks on yourself so that you have that extra crit from Thrill of the Hunt, as well as your pet just attacking that much faster. Now, BM Hunter is one of those specs that, all in all, is very simple to play. It's very straightforward. There's some minor nuances to it that you'll definitely want to figure out if you're playing specific talent builds. But for the most part, if you're looking for a good spec to play that is good baseline and that isn't overly complicated, Beast Mastery is probably a spec for you to try. They're great alts, they make great farmers, and in general, they're probably going to be a very, very fun class to play. They're also very strong in Mythic Plus at the moment, just because of the power of their cleave and the ridiculous amount of utility they bring. So thanks for checking in with me today, guys. I really appreciate you guys checking out all these videos. Leave a like if you liked it. If you didn't like it, downvote it, that's fine too. Toss me a sub if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Bye!